This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV in association with Recklin's Gym Marbella. We're just outside the Madison Square Garden. With me, I've got my very good friend Paddy Fitzpatrick. Why did you laugh when I said that?
I'm just a happy dude, man.
You weren't laughing as if to say, what's this guy going on about? It's been a while since we caught up, Paddy.
Yes, sir.
When was the last time?
No idea. By phone. Before the Badu Jack Tureano fight.
Alright, let's not talk about that.
That was last time we caught up.
Yeah, that was.
Last time we caught up.
We had a good conversation, and I admit I was wrong. You were right. We don't have to go into it. You're here with Eamon O'Kane, who has a brilliant chance to claim a mandatory position with the IBF for the middleweight title that Golovkin and Lemieux are fighting for this Saturday against Jonathan Tureano.
Yes, sir.
From a training point of view,
Tureano Johnson, Jonathan Tureano. I said yes, would you do?
I'm lost. What kind of fight is Tureano from what you've seen?
He's kind of a mirror image of Eamon. They're very, very similar. He had 300 amateur fights. Eamon had 280 plus amateur fights. His style is in your face. He's a very passionate fighter. Very strong-willed man. Same thing he's facing in Eamon. Very, very similar fighters.
Me and you have spoken about particular defeats that fighters have suffered in their careers and whether it has any influence on who they're fighting at the time. His one defeat is to Curtis Stevens. Do you take anything from that or not at all?
No, don't take anything from it because I don't think that he sees it as a defeat. He sees it as it got stopped too early in the last round by the referee. Up until that fight, he was dominating against a man who, is known as a power puncher in the division. I don't think he'll take anything but confidence from that. He won't take anything negative from that.
With the situation being talked about at the moment, that the winner of Golovkin and Lemieux will face potentially the winner of Canelo and Cotto next month. Spoke to Eamon earlier on. You're prepared for a waiting game if that's the case?
Yeah, I mean, it would be different if it was, say, for the WBA interim title. That's kind of, it's not, no disrespect to anyone to have it, but it's not a world title, is it? It's kind of like the number one position, the interim title. But you can be the interim champion in the WBA and still be waiting 2 years to get your shot, 3 years. It's not the same in the IBF. If you're the mandatory challenger, usually they have to do a voluntary and then they will have to face you. This situation might be a little bit different because this fight is actually, even though it's a unification, it's still a voluntary defence because neither man is ranked in the other governing body. So it's a voluntary fight. They should be facing the mandatory next, which would be the winner out of Eamon and Tureano. But I think the IBF is going to allow them to go on and have another unification, which is fine because the type of fights they'll be having would only put miles on the clock as opposed to making them fresher. So we don't mind sitting and waiting a bit. It will give me and Eamon more chance to grow it together as a team anyway. We've been together for a year. This will be our third fight. I think this fight's coming at the right time. And I have no problem us having to wait a little bit if that's what it needs to be in order to then to move on and face the winner of those ones.
The level of opponents that Eamon has faced in his career, the experience he's had, is he ready to mix it with the elite middleweights?
Well, we will find out who both men are on Saturday night. Tureano Johnson fought in the Olympics and he had 300 amateur fights. Eamon was a gold medalist in the Commonwealth Games. He fought in the WSB 3 times, had 3 victories. He had 280 plus amateur fights. He's beaten. He beat George in the amateurs. He's beaten. Who's the other guy that's with Golden Boy now? Should know him too. He's beat the man that Carl Froch beat for the world title in his first one. Who is that? Who did Carl beat in his first world title fight? WBC from Canada. Not Boutte, the other dude.
Pascal.
He's beaten him in the amateurs. He's also beaten the other middleweight, who I should know because I know him enough to say hello and talk to. He's with Golden Boy, our middleweight from Britain. You're not doing good as a reporter. You're supposed to know all these names.
A middleweight from Britain that's with Golden Boy?
Yes.
middleweight.
I'm very ashamed to say that we're on camera here. And
Hang on, middleweight with Golden
Middleweight
Boy.
with Golden Boy. He's had like 7-8 fights.
Oh,
You're
you're
gonna have to
talking
stop
Anthony
and do.
Ogogo?
Yes, you should stop and do this. I apologise, by the way, Anthony.
Oh, Anthony
I don't mean
Ogogo.
to be disrespectful. My name's. I've been travelling for 13
Well, he's with
hours.
the Sowlands as well now. He's with Sowland,
well,
Golden Boy.
What I'm saying is, George Eamon has got a very good stock in the amateurs. He's got a proven stock in the amateurs. He's beaten very good men in the amateurs. Has he beaten good men yet in the pros? No, he's only had 16 fights in the pros. He's beaten decent opposition. He's beaten the men that he's supposed to be at this stage in his career. Now this is the next stage. So the same thing with Tureano Johnson. He'll take nothing but confidence from the fight he had with Curtis Stevens, but Curtis Stevens is a dangerous fighter, but he hasn't beaten exactly big names in the pro game. So both men are in a very similar situation on Saturday night. It's their chance to prove that they deserve to be at the next level. Neither one yet has proved it. We're looking to prove it Saturday night.
What a stage as well.
Great stage. Fantastic stage. We actually put in a bid of $100,000 for this fight to Tureano Johnson's manager at the time, Gary Shaw. And he said yes, and then a day later he turned it down. We then, obviously, Gary Shaw went to purse bid and got that, and Golden Boy bought rights with Tureano. And it's ended up over here, which monetary-wise is bad for both men, but for an opportunity to be on a big stage on a HBO pay-per-view card and then on BoxNation back home, it's a fantastic stage for both men to be able to show their worth. So it actually ended up as a blessing in disguise.
I can't believe you forgot Anthony Ogogo's name.
I apologise, Anthony. I do. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm tired. It's not like I talk about him every day or talk to him every day.
Haven't you been watching Strictly Come Dancing?
No, I haven't. No, is he on that?
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
No, fair play.
Yeah.
I don't watch that much TV. I watch Escape to the Country and Grand Designs.
Okay, Paddy. As we're led to believe, your association with George Groves has now come to an end.
Correct. Came to an end on the Monday after the fight. I texted him and said that it was time for us to part.
So this was your decision?
It was my decision, yes. It's not to say that he wouldn't have come up with the same decision, but it was my decision, yeah.
So there wasn't any sort of discussion from George to potentially keep the association going? It was more of a mutual thing, or
That's what I'm saying. I made the decision, but it's not to say that he wouldn't have made the decision also. I said to him going into the Robrasi fight, if we lose this fight, that's it, we're done as a team. And he said, why is that? And I said, facts are facts. We got to take it for what it is, brother. We've had 2 fights so far and lost them against Carl. If we lose this one, we won't be allowed to stay together. Public opinion and the way social media is these days, we wouldn't be able to stay together. So if we lose this, we're done. Well, he won that. But now he's lost on his 3rd attempt. If I'm part of a team when we're winning, I'm also part of a team when we're losing. If I'm responsible in some way for the wins, I'm also responsible in some way for the losses. So my opinion is that if he's going to go into another world title shot again, which I believe he can get himself in a position to do, and then has to go through a checklist in his head, be it 2 months before, a month before, the night before, he's going to have to know that he's changed enough things to give himself the best opportunity to win that next one. You know, not many people get a 4th shot. Not many people are like Frank Bruno who can lose the first 3 and get it. So you have to give yourself the best opportunity. It seemed obvious to me that it was time for him to make a change and for me to not be part of that team as it went forward.
So you believe that you had taken George Groves as far as you could have possibly have taken him in that relatively short period of time that you were with him?
No, I didn't say that at all. I said I believe that if he was going to go into another fight for a world title, that he would need to be able to go through a checklist in his head and know that he'd made sufficient changes that this time he was going to win it. So I wasn't going to allow myself to be trying to be in a position that if I was on the other side, I would feel that I need to make enough changes. You know, you have to be able to tick these boxes the last 24 hours before a fight and know you've done everything correctly and you've given yourself the best opportunity. He wouldn't have been given himself the best opportunity to move forward with me. We hadn't been together long enough. It's not like we've been together from the beginning of his career and we're able to look back and say, look, we've just hit a rough patch or this or that. So there wasn't enough for us, in my opinion, to hang our hats on to be able to move forward. That's what it was. It's nothing got to do with, I believe, that I had done as much for him as I could. There's obviously something missing. And I don't believe it's in, as somebody said that, he said that I believe my style wasn't suited to his. I disagree with that. I think that there's plenty of proof in his preparation and his sparring and what he's brought through to know that there's nothing wrong with the development of his technique, but there is something missing between us, or we wouldn't be falling short. You could take the best fighter in the world, you could take the best coach in the world, and whoever the public would vote them to be, and you could put them together. It doesn't mean you're going to get the best results in the world. So it doesn't matter if I believe in myself as a coach and he believes himself as a fighter. If there is something missing between our characters or our relationship that is in some way being part of him not getting that title, then it's time for a change.
Had you already made a decision before the Jack fight that if things weren't going to go George's way that this was going to happen, or did you make this decision after his defeat?
Well, he was in perfect position to win that fight. He prepared perfectly. His sparring was excellent. Every sparring partner that was there felt it and knew it. He had done 15 rounds on a few occasions. No sparring was falling short of what it needed to be. And there's plenty of video and people that was there present to see that. So you don't plan, what will I do if he loses? You plan for him to win. You prepare for him to win. And he was in a fight that I believe he should have won. But he was in against a good man. And I had said he was a good fighter. Not everyone necessarily believed he was a good fighter. But I think in time, Badou Jack will actually be recognised for being a better fighter than people give him credit for.
So in answer to my question, you decided after his defeat that you were no longer...
If he had won, that's a different scenario you're talking to me about. He didn't. I made a decision that he lost, and now it's time that if he's lost, for not to move forward.
So your decision, obviously, to part ways with George was based on the split decision. He lost rather than his performance.
His performance was fine, but round 8, 9 and 10 was bad. I lost him rounds 8, 9 and 10. He came back after round 8 and I says, that ain't no good, that round. You're actually looking tired. Don't get back in the centre of the ring. You've been in the centre of the ring. Stop moving around the outside. Round 9. I said, you're starting to look as if you're hanging out your ass. And I know you're not. I know your condition's great. Barry O'Connell is in the corner with me. And I pointed at Barry and I said, you've been giving him personal bests in your conditioning and training. You're not tired. Stop acting like you're tired. Came back around 10. And I said, that's another round. You look fatigued. He went out and gave me a lovely round 11. But rounds 8, 9 and 10, if we lost a split decision, and those rounds were definitely for Badou, they're the rounds we lost the fight in. Now, could somebody else have got better from him in those rounds? I don't know. I do know that I didn't. So, what's the point in moving forward if when it comes to that time with him, we don't have the relationship that I'm able to bring that out in him?
It seems like you came into George's career at relatively an awkward time, pre-Froch Groves 1, in the middle of the build-up. No one kind of knew what was going on, the split with Adam Booth, and you were kind of, to the boxing world, a little bit of an unknown quantity. being thrust into a huge fight for George at the time. It's a bit of an odd question, but how do you believe that George's career would have been to this point now if he'd continued his relationship and association with Adam Booth?
Listen, George is an excellent fighter. Adam is an excellent coach. But I just said only a minute ago in this interview that you could take the best fighter in the world and you could take who's perceived as being the best coach in the world, and it doesn't mean you're going to get the best results. Obviously, their relationship was not functioning the way it was early in their career. If it was, why would Adam make the decision that he was leaving? So for whatever reason, they weren't gelling anymore. So it doesn't matter if Adam was still in the corner that night or with him for the rest of his career. If he was there with the relationship not what it was, you're not going to get the same results. George now needs to find a coach where he does have that relationship that is needed in these big fights. Don't forget, he's lost to two men, two world champions. One of them well recognised for his achievements as a world champion, and deservedly so. And the other man, who I believe will be recognised as better than what people think him to be at now at the moment, Badou Jack.
There's been a few names mentioned, some by George about a potential new trainer. The likes of Shane McGuigan's been mentioned, the likes of Virgil Hunter's been mentioned, and the likes of Rob McCracken have also been mentioned. We'll start with Rob McCracken. What do you make about that?
Start with Rob McCracken. Why not? Why not? He's a good coach. He's a very good coach. He's proven himself. Lennox Lewis, Manny Stewart was in the opposite corner to Lennox Lewis when he got knocked out, Oliver McCall. He eventually ended up training him. Timothy Bradley, who was it? Provodnikov was in the opposite corner to Joel Diaz when he fought Bradley, and now he's training with him. This is boxing. These things happen all the time. It's nothing unusual. It's only because we're talking about one of our own now that it would seem unusual, and because of the hype that surrounded especially the second fight. But don't forget, the hype that surrounded those fights was between the two fighters. It's nothing got to do with George and Carl, or George and Rob McCracken. It was between George and Carl. So, would it actually happen? I don't know. Because would Carl want him to train him? And is Rob so close to Carl that he wouldn't take him on? But if you're asking me, could Rob McCracken do good for George if they get that relationship? Yeah. The trainer's knowledge and the trainer's ability to develop a fighter isn't enough. It's the relationship between the fighter and the trainer that is very important.
When
and as for the other guys you mentioned, I think Shane McGuigan's an excellent coach. He's shown that in his work with Carl Frampton, and he's just lives up the road from him. That's another good choice. Excellent coach.
When a fighter is looking for a new trainer, some fighters, notably Amir Khan, really has sort of decided that his last sort of two trainers have been Freddie Roach and Virgil Hunter. Is there a sort of stigma attached to that where they think that those kind of trainers are going to vastly improve them? Have we got enough coaches here that could do similar jobs? Or
we've got a lot of excellent coaches, brother. Britain has got a load of excellent coaches. But when you're looking for a coach, of course, the coaches that are in the media's attention more, they're the first ones that will pop in your head. When you think of coaches like Freddie or Virgil Hill or any of them men.
Hunter.
Yeah, Virgil Hunter, they're all well proven. They're all well proven coaches. They're out there all the time. You see they're busy, they have a lot of fighters, so why wouldn't you straight away think, well, that might be a good choice? But then when you go to those coaches, if you want longevity out of it, you have to have more than just the knowledge of that coach. You have to have some kind of relationship. Amir went to Freddie. Excellent choice of trainer. He didn't stay with Freddie. That's nothing got to do with Freddie's knowledge or his ability to train fighters, is it? Because he's proven time and time and time again what an excellent trainer he is. But he obviously wasn't the right trainer for Amir because he left. So it still boils down to that relationship, and you're not going to know if that relationship is there until time is given. And I don't think that any coach is going to make a difference in a fighter straight away. It's going to take time for any coach to make a difference, because it's not enough, like I said, for a coach to go, you need to do ABC. You still need to now get the fighter to believe that, and then get the fighter to actually make that a habit, and then when he makes it a habit, then to actually get him to bring that out when he's under pressure, when normally he would revert to type. Now you got him to actually be able to say, no, don't go back to that. This is what you need to do. That, number one, takes time, and number two, it takes the trust in the relationship.
My last question just requires a yes or no answer. Don't want you to elaborate on it. Do you believe George Groves will win a world title?
Can't give it a yes or no answer, so there's no point in asking it. There's no point in you asking a question that I don't believe I can answer yes or no to, and I'm just going to answer yes or no to appease you. Does George have what it takes to become a world champion? Yes, he definitely does. My opinion of George as a fighter is the same as it was before I worked with him, when I was working with him, and now that I'm not working with him. He's an excellent fighter. He's got all the tools it takes to become a world champion. He hasn't yet done it. He has to now get a coach that is going to bring the best out in him. Do I believe he can do it? Most definitely. But I'm not going to answer yes or no. There's a lot of good men at the top of the super middleweight division now. Not one dominant man where you can fight for other world titles and avoid that dominant man. There's a lot of good men. Badou Jack, he's lost a split decision. Can he beat him? Of course he can. He lost a split decision against a TMT fighter in Vegas, an Al Haymon fighter too. It's probably a win somewhere else. So can he beat him? Yes, he can. Martin Murray is about to fight Abrahams. I think Martin Murray beats Abrahams. And actually, I think Martin Murray is probably the best 68-pounder that doesn't have a title at the moment. So George against Martin Murray, that's a real tough fight. James DeGale, he has beaten James in the amateurs and the pros. So if you're asking me, can he beat him? Of course he can beat him. He's proven that he can do it.
Does he beat him now?
Does he beat him now? That's a hard thing to say, because there's something about putting a world title around your waist that brings more out in a fighter. And it's not like James DeGale didn't have self-belief already, because he did. He's an excellent fighter who's been a gold medalist in the Olympics. But now he's a world champion who won it away from home. And he's shown a hell of a lot of character to make his first defense away from home again in the other man's backyard. So can he beat him? Yes, he's done it before. Can he beat Jack? Yes, he lost a split decision. Who else is there?
Abraham, Jack, DeGale,
and Chudinov.
And Chudinov. And Andre Ward.
Huh?
And Andre Ward.
Andre Ward, I don't think he'll fight at 68 again. I think he's moving to light heavy. So can he become world champion? Most definitely. But he has yet to do it. But it takes more than a skill set. Look at Steve Collins. Steve Collins fought against Mike McCollum, one of the best, for a world title. And he lost, I think it was by a point. Then he fought Reggie Johnson, and he lost. Then he took what is a step backwards, moved back home and fought for the European title, and he lost the decision to Sumba Kalambe. But what he had was that unbreakable will. So then he got a shot against Chris Pyatt, beat him, moved straight up to super middleweight, and had a fantastic career. And is one of the best fighters ever to come out of Ireland. That wasn't all skill set. That's a mentality, that it didn't matter that he had lost those previous fights, he wasn't going to be denied, and that's what it takes. Now George has to prove that he can do that, and he has proven before that he has a fantastic mentality and he's able to handle a lot of stress. I've got nothing but the highest respect for the man and his abilities, and I wish him the best, and I hope he can go forward and win that world title. Why wouldn't I? But he has now got to do it. He hasn't done it yet. He's got to do it.
Okay, Paddy Fitzpatrick. I asked you for 5.5 minutes. Nearly 25.
Get lost.
Yes, 25.
Is it?
Yeah.
I apologise to Anthony for forgetting his name. Sorry, man. And you forgot it too.
I didn't forget it.
You couldn't even come out with it, man.
I'm the one who come out with it.
Eventually.
Only because he's sort of been co-promoted by the Sauerlands now and Golden Boy. I've just got one more question that requires a yes or no answer.
Okay, I'll try.
Will you train me?
No.
Oh, you didn't even bat
I
an
would
eyelid.
elaborate. I would elaborate, but you didn't want me to, and I didn't want to upset you by dragging this interview on any longer.
You don't want to train me?
You just wanted a yes or no
I'm
answer.
currently looking.
What you asked me.
I'm currently looking for a coach.
I'll tell you what. Come down to the gym. I'll throw you in sparring with Sniper and with Duke, and if you survive in there for a week, then we'll think about it. That fair?
I'm actually looking for a coach.
Well, what did I just say a minute ago?
All right.
What's the most important thing? What did I say? Steve Collins had more than anything else. That strong will, that mentality, that never say die.
But I think we'd gel good, fighter
Yeah?
and trainer. I think we'd gel very well.
Okay. Well, you've talked me into it.
Okay. Paddy Fitzpatrick, thanks for talking to IFL TV. Good to catch up with you. Best of luck this weekend with Eamon O'Kane against Jonathan Tureano.
Jonathan Tureano Johnson.
Tureano Johnson. Right, it's been 26 minutes now. It's getting late. Is that what I just called him?
Yeah, man.
Jonathan
Sounds like some
Tureano.
kind of Pulp Fiction.
No, but Jonathan Tureano sounds better.
It does. Sounds like a Pulp Fiction character.
His name's not even Jonathan. It's Johnson.
No, it's Tureano Johnson.
Tureano Johnson.
Yeah.
It's getting late. It's getting late, Paddy.
It is late, man.
All right, listen. Thank you very much. Best of luck on Saturday, and
God bless.
we'll catch up with you soon.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Cheers, mate.